All right, welcome back to episode 10 of the Press Coverage Podcast. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different today. We're going to be picking teams, like pretty much a fantasy team, but like not for fantasy, like for actual football. And we're going to do a snake draft, and we're going to go from there. So right now we're going
So it's going to be like 11 starters on offense and 11 starters on defense, plus head coach, so 23 picks in total.
Mm-hmm. So right now we're going to select the drafting order. So let me just share my screen here. So here, as you can see, we have our teams and the layouts. So for the random generator, we're just going to have Michael be 1, Matt be 2, and me be 3. And whichever comes out first, second, or third is who's going to pick first. So the first pick will be Matt, then me, then Michael.
All right.
Okay. So, Matt, with your first pick, who will you be selecting?
So before this all started, I was all talk, like I really want that first pick because it's an obvious choice. Deep down, I really didn't want the first pick. I'd rather pick later, so I could pick earlier in the second round. But I'm gonna go with Pat Mahomes with the first pick. Just take the best player in the NFL, most valuable player at least.
Yeah, I'd say that's a solid pick. I think that we'd all agree that's who we would have took with the first pick.
Yeah, you get the youth, you get the ability, and you'll have him for the rest of the entire of your franchise.
Can't complain too much about that.
All right, so now it's my pick, and I am also going to go quarterback, and I'm going to take Deshaun Watson.
What? Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, it's my pick, and
you have picks back to back.
So that's awesome. For me, I guess I don't really need to worry about quarterback now because it's not like you guys are going to pick another one.
But by the sound of it, Pete, you could have gotten Deshaun Watson at the end of this draft.
Exactly.
So I guess I think the most important thing besides that would be picking a head coach that's going to win me games.
I forgot to write head coach. Oops.
And for as much as I hate to say it, the head coach that will have me get the best chance at a dynasty is
Adam Gase,
the head coach that had a dynasty in the first place. So I'm going to have to take Bill Belichick. And, of course, Bill Belichick, he's a great coach. And to go with the great coach, I might as well take the best player in the NFL. Some say it's Pat Mahomes, but others say it's on defense. So I'm going to go with Aaron Donald.
Solid pick.
Unfortunately, that was the correct pick. That's who I thought Pete was going to go number 2 overall.
That's what I should have done. Now that I'm thinking about it, I was like, all right, quarterback, most important position. Maybe I should do that, but I didn't. So
Aaron Donald would have been the only person to stop me from taking Mahomes first. That was the only possible debate.
Yeah, I wasn't quite thinking with my head there. So,
all right, pick it up for this pick right here.
I don't think I will because I really have no idea who I'm about to pick. I just don't know what I value the most right now. I know who I want to pick.
Is he going to do it? Is he going to reach for him?
I just I might have to move to defense first. I'm going to go there. So I think I'm going to go with Khalil Mack.
That's another solid pick.
Yeah, best edge in the league by far. It would have been my selection next. So unfortunately, the 2 picks I wanted to come back to me didn't quite make it. But because of that, I don't think Pete's going to be very happy with my selection here, I'll be honest. Since best edge rusher is taking best player on defense is taken, I'm going to have to take the best offensive lineman in football, and that's Quentin Nelson, guard for the Colts.
Ooh.
I thought I could
His
wait.
favorite player.
And he gets another pick, Pete. You were not getting Quentin Nelson at all.
I thought I could wait. That's my guy.
Yeah, I forgot I had 2 picks. So, once you passed on him, it was done.
As you saw last episode, I was wearing a Quentin Nelson T-shirt.
So this is interesting here. I think I'm going to go for – you're going to call me a homer for this pick, but I have my reasons. I think Jamal Adams is the best strong safety by far, and the upgrade of him over whoever the next option is makes him worth this pick here. Because I know I can get insanely good players in every position, but they're all similar tier to me. And Jamal only has one A after the M.
Oh, might be.
Disrespectful, but I'm going to go Jamal Adams here.
I mean, I respect the pick, but I feel like there are other safeties around there that could potentially, like, not force you to make this pick right here.
Yeah, that's a
Valid.
little shocking, I'd say. I don't hate the pick. Obviously, I love Jamal Adams, but it might not have been what I would have done that early.
All right, so it's my pick again. And now that Quentin Nelson is gone, I think I might stick away from the line for a little bit. I think we're going to stay on the defensive side of the ball. And I believe that we are going to go with Nick Bosa.
Damn it. That was my next pick.
Well, I mean, you're up, so, I mean, let's
I
see.
can't believe you took edge and then edge back to back. All right. Well, my next pick after that was going to be back to offense. I haven't picked an offensive player yet. And Bill Belichick struggles most with finding wide receivers, so I'm going to pick Mike Thomas.
Interesting. Mike Thomas, first receiver off the board.
Yeah, I mean,
Deserved, though.
I could see it, considering.
I like Julio as my favorite receiver, but Julio is getting old, and if we're building to build a dynasty, then I can't guard Mike for another 10 years.
Can't guard
No,
Mike. That's a fact.
It's just the truth.
You just can't guard him.
And let's see. I can use an edge, but Nick Bosa's gone. And so is Khalil Mack. I don't want to lose out on youth, so I'm going to take Joey Bosa.
Joey,
The other Bosa brother.
solid pick.
This puts me in a very interesting position with edge because I have neither of my edge rushers yet, which is a very important position, but I only have to worry about one more being stolen from me, so I can kind of wait at the position.
Yeah. Well, I picked before you, but no.
Didn't you already take two?
Yeah, I did.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I don't have to worry about that really at all.
Yeah, very true. Damn. I don't know. I didn't really think this out at all.
Yeah, it's kind of like off the fly here, but I like it.
I'm kind of upset that
I've got a bit of a plan. You're going to see how my plan falls together.
Yeah, I did not have a plan at all, and I'm kind of disappointed that I took Watson.
Yeah, Watson was a bit of a choke pick there. You could have gotten much later in the draft.
Yeah, I don't know why I did that.
I only took Mahomes because I feel like he's by far the best quarterback.
Yeah, no, that makes
Otherwise, I
sense.
would have waited.
I'm kind of disappointed in myself.
It's cool. I lucked in Aaron Donald for it. And I'm the only one so far with a head coach, so if you guys don't forget.
I'm not really worried about it.
I'm not worried about that at all yet. I know I'm going to get the head coach I wanted all along much later in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Okay.
So, I think I'm gonna have to go with another guard here. I'm gonna have to go with Brandon Brooks.
Wow. That's crazy just because I really wanted a guard at this pick. And when you said guard, I thought I was screwed. And then you took a different guard than who I wanted. I am on the clock here, right? Before I say my pick.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with Zach Martin here as my second guard.
Damn it.
To me, these are the two best guards in football on my roster, in my opinion. I understand Brandon Brooks is also elite as well.
Understandable.
Nothing wrong with that selection.
Mm-hmm.
But in my opinion, I have the two best guards in football both on my team, which is pretty common.
I like Brandon Brooks' youth a little bit more than Zach Martin.
That's fair. I've already got my youth in Quentin Nelson.
I hate to push you football, Pete, but Brandon Brooks is older than Zach Martin.
Is he?
Yes.
By how much?
By 2 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Brandon Brooks is a beast. So.
All right, Pete, you're up. Oh, no, Matt's up again.
I'm still up here. I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with the second pick. And I think I'm going to lock in on corner. I think that's the most important position for me to attack yet. None have been taken. I'm going to go Stephon Gilmore, first corner off the board.
Good call.
right, that puts me up, correct?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I respect the pick. I'm also gonna go corner, but personally, I think that Gilmore had a great year last year and a good year the year before too. But I just don't view him as the number one corner, especially after watching Devontae Parker just shit all over him in Week 17. But I don't know. So I'm also going corner here.
I don't think you understand how elite Devontae Parker is.
Well, I mean that's true, but I mean it's not. But Stephon Gilmore did a better job with like better people, so I don't know. But I'm also going corner here, and I'm going with Tre'Davious White.
It's a good choice.
Now, I know you guys are worried about your corners, but for me, I'm not too concerned. I have a lot of really good young corners here, so I'm not worried about maybe that going down too much. However, I am worried about wide receiver. So I'm going to take DeAndre Hopkins.
Very, very offensive minded.
And with my next pick, I'm taking Tyreek Hill.
Wow.
All right, so all web receivers are done, just like that.
Locking up the wide receiver position perfectly with my top 3 guys.
It's not
So-
a bad strategy.
Who are you playing in this slot there?
Probably Mike Thomas, if I'm being honest.
What? No.
Maybe
That's a
Tyreek
poor
Hill.
decision, but okay. If
Probably
that's what you want to do with your team,
I would say Tyreek Hill.
I would have said Tyreek Hill too.
I think they can all rotate around. They all fit.
But to me, I don't think you have a good slot receiver on your team.
Maybe
I
not.
think that's where you went wrong with these 3.
This is too loaded of a roster for me to turn down.
All right. So I was going to go wide receiver here. And now I feel like Michael's made me a little bit nervous to jump the gun a little bit here. But I need a wide receiver 1, and I will be going with Julio.
Yes, that puts me up. I'm a little disappointed. I was hoping Julio made it to me. That was the last top tier receiver. So since I missed out on that, I'm going to hold off on receiver for a while and fill out other positions of need. Let's see, where do I want to go? Yeah, I think I'm going to keep building this offensive line. To me, outside of quarterback, that's the most important thing you have to build. Your receivers are mediocre, but your quarterback has unlimited time. They're going to get open. So I'm going to go with Tyron Smith, who I think is the best tackle in football.
Solid pick there.
Is it 2 ends? Yeah, right.
Yeah, I think it's with an O, though. I think it's O-N.
All right. You pick again, right, Matt?
Yeah, it's 1 and 2, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Somehow I always forget that I picked twice in a row every time, so I wasn't quite prepared. But I'm going to go for maybe a little bit of a surprise to you guys. I'm going to pick my tight end here because I think it's important to create mismatches. And I think Kittle's the guy who's going to run block. He's going to get open. And I think he's better than Travis Kelce. And I think he's the best tight end in football.
Interesting choice.
I also had Kittle over
Picking
Kelsey.
a tight end before picking a wide receiver is an interesting.
Well, because I'm at the point now where Pete's only going to take 2 more receivers. So I'm not going to reach for a guy when I know a lot are going to fall for me that are still very talented.
That's-
So here, I agree with what Matt just said about the mismatches. So I'm going to go running back and take Christian McCaffrey.
That's a good one too. Well, for me here, I get 2 in a row, and now that one of the best tight ends is gone, I don't want to lose the other one. So I'm going to quickly pick Travis Kelce before it's too late. Got to make sure there's only 2 super elite guys left, and I want to lock one down before it's over. And for my next pick, there's another elite defensive lineman that I'm shocked hasn't gone yet, so I'm going to take Fletcher Cox.
Solid picks there. I like the tight end pick. Kind of puts me in a
And
different
his interior defense is looking pretty scary.
Yeah.
Who needs
So
three?
that brings me back up. And I think that I'm going to address my offensive line again. And I'm going to come out and I'm going to take Taylor Lewan.
Really?
Feeling that was coming for you at some point.
Taylor Lewan is the second tackle off the board?
Why not?
That I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
Wow, what do you have against Taylor Lewan? Let's hear it.
He wasn't on my board. That's all I'm.
He wasn't on your board?
Not that he's bad. It's just I didn't think he was that good.
I'm going to stick to my offensive line theme in this draft. I think by securing the best offensive line, it'll put me a foot ahead. And since I already have Tyron Smith at left tackle, I'm going to take Lane Johnson, who I think is the best right tackle in football. And then I have another pick as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a little scared at Leb's run on D tackles here. I want to make sure I still get an elite guy in the interior, so I'm going to take Chris Jones.
Smart.
Let's go. All right. That kind of puts some more pressure on me here. I feel like being in the middle is kind of a tough place to be. But I am also going to go defensive tackle, and I'm going to jump on to DeForest Buckner.
So you guys have been building your offensive lines, and I don't want to get left behind. But luckily, since you guys haven't picked a center, I'm going to take my favorite of the centers. So I'm going to go with Rodney Hudson.
I did not have Rodney Hudson on my board.
Deep, hard.
He was on my board. He wasn't my number one center.
That's okay. And I'll take that, though. And for my next pick, I think there's really only one true, number one elite interior lineman in this draft, and I'm shocked he hasn't gone. So, again, I'll go with Bobby Wagner. My guys,
yeah, that's a bit of a slip. That's a good pick right there.
My guys may be a little older, but when a guy like that falls to you this late, you got to anchor the defense.
It's a solid pick there. So I'm up here. I think I'm going to go back to offensive line, and I'm going to come back to to center as Michael just went, and I'm going to go with Jason Kelce.
That's unfortunate for me. That's who I wanted here. That's what I was going to take with my next pick.
Travis Kelce. I'm an idiot.
Yes, you'd have the Kelces. But the one good thing for me there is now I know neither of you guys will take a center, so I can wait till the very end to adjust the last position on my offensive line.
That's how I feel
about Yeah. Lev's Bobby Wagner pick kind of was a wake-up call for me. I think I need to go C.J. Mosley here, who's the only guy who's even similar to Bobby Wagner in that upper echelon if he can stay healthy.
Let me take him off my board. Actually, I can raise all my wide receivers now. I don't need any.
And then I'm going to take an interesting approach once again and just shore up my safety position. I think the impact that Minkah Fitzpatrick made upon joining the Steelers makes him worth the pick here. He does need an N in his name. Pete's not the best typer here.
Might be.
It's okay.
Yeah. Honestly, screw my team. I like the way that Matt's team's shaping up here.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. But it is my pick. But I kind of disagree with what you said about Mosley being the only other top inside linebacker. I'm gonna go with the guy who's been nothing but spectacular in his first 2 years in the season. I'm gonna go Darius Leonard.
Damn it, Pete.
He would be my next guy.
Stop.
So for sure, he's almost at that level to me, just not quite there.
I think he definitely will be, at least being an all-pro his first 2 years.
Yeah.
So you guys took, or at least Matt has taken 2 safeties already, and I'm getting a little squeamish. So my next pick is Derwin James.
Yeah, to me, that's the only guy you could even really compare to Jamal Adams at that strong safety position.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's definitely top 2 safeties out there.
Another strong anchor. I have a lot of leaders on this defense. And I haven't addressed a lot of offensive line, but since a lot of you guys have it done, I'm going to go back to one of the most important positions with edge because I need to solidify that. And my next guy off the board, I think, would be Cameron Jordan.
He's one of the guys I was eyeing that I would hope would fall. But now that completely solidifies the fact that I can wait on my edges, and I still have 2 guys I like there.
Mm-hmm. So that brings me up here. Probably. I'm gonna go back to the offensive line, I believe, and I think I'm gonna go inside again here at guard and go with David DeCastro.
Smart move. He's on my board as well.
Man, I'm really out of guards here.
Am I up here?
Yep,
All right. Can you scroll over to my team? I
sir.
just want to make sure. Okay. I know this is unexpected for me because I've always been a guy who doesn't think the running back position is that important compared to some other positions. But to me, there's 2 elite running backs that are above the rest, and Pete already took one of them, so I'm going to take Saquon Barkley here as the other guy. And then I've got another pick as well. I'm going to go back to the corner position, and I'm going to take Jalen Ramsey as my second corner.
Damn it! You sniping me.
All right, that brings me back up. I like the Saquon pick. I agree that those 2 are the top, slightly above some other guys. And I also like the Ramsey pick, solidify that cornerback duo on the outside. So I'm up here, and I think that I'm going to go safety here, and I'm going to select Eddie Jackson.
Good pick.
The guy I probably could have waited on, but I just wanted to ensure that I got him here.
He definitely could have easily went as one of the top safeties up the board as well.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I feel like I get a little lucky that another guy falls to me, and Pete just took a safety, but my top safety off the board would be Harrison Smith. And since I haven't taken a single corner yet, and you guys are going to have to take a lot of corners for depth, a lot of good corners are gone, but my best young corner coming up would be Jair Alexander.
Wow.
Ooh, I did not have him on my board.
Really?
He's good and a young corner, but he's not in my top 6 or 8 corners.
Fair enough.
Yeah. All right, so back up here. I think I will be going inside linebacker here again, and I'm going to select Deion Jones. I think he's a very underrated young inside linebacker who is one of the hardest hitting players in the league.
No doubt there. I think I'm going to, since Pete still has some receivers he's going to take, I'm getting nervous having no one when I think there's a guy who should be going here. And I want a nice young guy. Maybe he's not quite like an elite top 3 guy, but I'm going to take Mike Evans.
I like that pick. I like Mike Evans.
Yeah, I like the pick as well.
And then for my next, can you scroll down to my defense?
Sure.
I think I'm just going to fully lock up the corner position. This is a guy who traditionally plays outside corner, but has been known to travel into the slot. And the only reason he doesn't play slot is because he's so good on the outside as well. So I'm going to put Casey Hayward as my 3rd corner.
E or A?
A.
Word. All righty. So let me scroll down here. I think I'm going to have to go safety again here. And I will be selecting Tyrann Mathieu.
Good choice.
I never really know what to think about him because he goes off sometimes, but then I feel like he disappears as well. But he
Yeah.
was good in that Super Bowl run last year. So
Yeah, he was the anchor of that defense and kind of honestly like carried them there.
All right. Well, I feel bad. I'm really behind on offensive linemen. And just in case Pete has one more tackle to go off the board, my guards aren't going to be great, but I'm going to go tackle and then tackle. So at left tackle, I'll take David Bakhtiari, and at right tackle, I'll take Ryan Ramczyk.
locking them up.
Securing the edge.
Ryan Ramczyk was probably going to be my next pick. I did not know how to spell his last name. That's pretty close.
There's like a Z before the C or something, and then I don't know. You're pretty close.
Fuck it. There we go. So that brings me up again here. What I think I'm going to do is I think I'm going to go back to the defensive line here and pick Grady Jarrett.
Was that your second D tackle?
Yeah.
Okay, because I was about to go with a different D tackle, but it seems like I can hold off there for now. So I think I want to go inside linebacker here,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to go with Jalen Smith, who is incredibly athletic, and he might not be. He's good when he's got someone inside with him, like he does with the Cowboys, and I think he'll do great with Mosley.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
And then I get another pick as well. So the obvious thing to do is receiver, because I know at every other position I'm safe other than head coach. I can get whoever I want. So I'm going to take Devontae Adams here as my second receiver. Put him opposite Mike Evans.
yeah, I was hoping you weren't going to go there because I'm trying to go wide receiver here with my next pick. But I'm going to slide down and take a guy who had a career year last year in Chris Godwin.
Smart. So I think for my next two picks, I want to play it safe. And I know I need guards and an interior lineman, but I'm really lacking at corner. And I want to try to make up for it here. So my second corner, I'll take Marlon Humphrey. And as my slot corner, I'm going to go with Desmond King.
Nothing like the slot corner pick. He actually plays the position, and he's probably the best at it in the league.
Yeah, I was surprised you didn't pick King over Casey Hayward for the slot, but Casey Hayward.
In my opinion, I think if you put Hayward in the slot, he would perform even better than King, but we can't know that for sure.
Mm-hmm. So let me look at my team real quick. Get a little overview. I guess I'm gonna go corner here as well, and I'm gonna take another outside guy here, and I'm gonna take Xavier Howard.
Probably
Interesting.
deserved to come off a little earlier. He's been dominant the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm up here. So receiver is the only position where I could get sniped as well as head coach, so I might as well take those two guys here. With my last receiver, who I'm going to put in the slot, I'm going to take Odell Beckham. He's a shifty guy. I mean, he traditionally plays outside, but he was all around the formation. I think he's a guy who could be used in the slot primarily. It's just not what's often been done. And as far as head coach, this might seem like a surprising pick considering there's only 3 head coaches, but I'm going to take Frank Reich as my guy. I think the culture he's set ever since being with the Colts has been insane. Their first year, obviously, with Andrew Luck, they made a run. They won a playoff game. And then you can't really expect better success than they had with Jacoby Brissett as their quarterback. And I'm looking forward to see what he does with the Colts this year.
Definitely an interesting pick. I wouldn't have him in my top 3 head coaches, but he's definitely done.
I think he's a guy that can deal with whoever's on his team and knows how to coach pieces, right?
Yeah, definitely. Fair point. So
My only knock for Reich would be he hasn't really shown true success deep in the playoffs, and he hasn't done anything in the Super Bowl. and it's just you never know what he really is going to be, especially with all
Yeah.
the
I
talent.
mean, I have to pick him based off projection, right? He won a playoff game this first year to make the playoffs. Like, that is slow start that season, and then they took off. They won like 9 out of 10 games to end that year, and they won a playoff game. And they lost to Mahomes and the Chiefs, so you can't really knock him too badly for that.
Mhm.
And now he has Pat Mahomes as his quarterback, so that'll be nice.
Mhm.
It's interesting that you have Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid is still available, and you pick Frank Reich, but all to each their own, I'd say.
All right.
With your next pick,
So I'm up here, and I'm good at every position. Like, I don't think that anybody can take anybody who I need. So here at corner, I'm gonna go with not a guy who really plays a slot, but an absolute ball hawk in Marcus Peters.
good pick. So for my team, you guys all have your guards, you have your linebackers, you have your quarterback and running back, I think. Do you guys have both linebackers?
I do at least.
My defense is done, I think.
Either way.
Yeah, I think we're all at the point where we're picking just whoever we want.
Yeah.
So the only guard I had left on my board was Ali Marpet, so he'll be my first guard. I gotta think of another guard to put
Wait,
in here.
what? Who is? How do I spell that?
He's on the Bucks.
Yeah,
Interesting selection for sure.
Yeah.
he's a younger guy. I was
How do I
thinking
spell
about
that?
who to put there.
ALI and then MARPET.
There's a lot of good older players, but I want to keep youth on this team, and a lot of my offensive linemen are youthy, and I think that's important going forward, especially because my quarterback that I'm about to pick, he doesn't need that much protection because he's able to extend plays. So all these young offensive linemen are going to develop well with Russell Wilson ahead. The pick I thought Pete should have taken it too if he was going to pick a quarterback. So I'm shocked that he fell to me all the way here, but happy to have Russell Wilson.
All right, we don't need to go back
I'm
to.
gonna have to say that was the biggest blunder of the entire draft.
Yeah, no, we
I don't
don't.
think that's a reach to say.
We don't need to talk about that. It's okay. I don't know why I did that, but so I didn't really write too many wide receivers down because I thought that I didn't really expect that run on wide receivers there with Michael, but I'm gonna go here with the slot.
I did expect Webb to do that, to be honest. That's exactly what I expected.
Me to do that.
I'm gonna go here with the slot wide receiver, and I'm gonna take Jarvis Landry.
Interesting.
And you're not going to take Amari Cooper?
No.
I mean, Keenan Allen was on the board. It's something you always got to think about.
Jarvis Landry, in my opinion, is probably the best slot wide receiver in the league.
I do.
I think that's a pretty bold opinion.
He's a beast. Best hands.
All right, so that puts me up. I've got 4 picks left. I'm just going to lock up my edges here. And these are 2 guys who I think are tremendously underrated in the league. They're both thought of as really good, but they're really the top tier in my opinion. And the first is Chandler Jones, who's been slept on his whole career. He had the most sacks in the league last season, and it's not even the first time he's done that. And then second is a guy who probably would have won Defensive Player of the Year if it wasn't how good Gilmore was. I'm going to take T.J. Watt here.
2 very solid picks.
I'm surprised T.J. Watt was picked, but not J.J. Watt.
I think you combine the youth and T.J. Watt performed much better last year. I think T.J. Watt is the better player at this point.
Yeah,
He's only going to get better.
I agree with that. And the
Doesn't have the same injury problems.
Yep. So that brings me back up. Doesn't really matter who I take. So I'm going to take Anthony Costanzo.
All right. Well, I think for here, I'm just going to take an interior linebacker. I'm surprised you guys slept on him. He's still around. I'm going to go with Fred Warner.
Where am I going? Inside linebacker.
And for my running back, you guys have the 2 clear guys off the board. I'm going to be a homer, my favorite guy dominating in the playoffs. I don't need him to catch passes because my receivers are too good, so I'll take Derrick Henry.
We'll see how he does against that offensive line. I don't know. He had the Titans offensive line last year, and now he's got Ali Marpet.
Offensive line is worse than the Titans last year.
Yes, honestly, I do.
It really is.
You're nuts.
Why? I mean, if I didn't take what's
I
it?
think guard-wise, it's definitely going to be worse than the Titans was.
I need to think of a good guard to take.
Oh, I'm not gonna.
There's still some guards on my draft board, but I'm not going to tell you them.
I know. I'm just
Yeah,
gonna.
me
I have
too.
to brainstorm.
And Matt still has a center left, but if I was to take a center and I didn't have Jason Kelsey, I probably would have took Ben Jones, who's the Titans center.
Oh, okay. Ben Jones.
All right, so I only have 2 picks left, my head coach and my tight end. So I'm just going to get tight end out of the way, and I'm going to go with Zach Ertz.
Yeah, for me, the tight end position, it really is a top 2. And I was worried I was going to miss out on that because I think Ertz is a tier below that. Obviously, he's still good. But... All right, so these are my last 2 picks here. At center, I'm going to give Quentin Nelson a familiar presence next to him. I'm going to go Ryan Kelly. Which to me, if he's able to stay healthy, he's a top tier center in the league. He just had a few injury concerns.
Yeah, I think he's definitely up there with guys like Jones and Kelsey.
And to wrap it up, my last deep tackle to put next to Chris Jones, I'm going to take Akeem Hicks.
That's another good one.
IE Pete.
Wait, what?
Akeem is IE.
Like
There
that?
we go. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so my final pick is my head coach. I'm going to go with Andy Reid. Super Bowl winning quarterback last year. We'll see what he can do with this roster.
All right. Somehow I had the 3rd pick, and I also have the last pick. But at guard, I thought about it a little bit. I can only think of a couple guys. Brandon Scherf came to mind, but I think the best guard here I could take with youth on his side and that really proved himself, especially in a couple Super Bowls, will be Shaq Mason.
Those, to me, you should have picked both of those instead of Ali Marpet. That would have been a good way to solidify the offensive line.
Yeah,
But Shaq Mason's a good pick here, so can't complain there.
Or even Joe Thuney.
Maybe Joe Thuney, but Ali Marpet's good. Y'all are sleeping. And
He's all right.
Literally, offensive line is my favorite position. I've never heard of him before.
I've heard of him, but he's just not the same tier as these other guys.
All right, so now let's just run through these teams real quick, and I guess we can pick whoever's is our favorite besides our own, maybe, because obviously I think most of us would pick our own teams.
I think we should just argue why our team is better than.
Yeah, I think everyone should run through their own team and explain the strengths.
All right, let me do my team now. I have the 2nd best quarterback in the league, not by much, but Russell Wilson. He's proven that he can win Super Bowls. He wins playoff games. He's able to elevate and carry his team. Derrick Henry has proven in the playoffs that he could rack up 200, 300 yards and multiple touchdowns each game.
When he has a good offensive line.
He does have a good offensive line, and he runs over people and is a beast. He's not going to need to catch passes when my wide receivers are Michael Thomas, DeAndre Hopkins, and Tyreek Hill. 3 of, if not the 3 best playmakers in the NFL with youth on their side. My offensive line may be a little slept on, but I like all these players. I got some pretty solid tackles, some good guards, and a decent center. Bill Belichick is the head of the defense, the dynasty leader, with Aaron Donald and Fletcher Cox on the interior, Bobby Wagner and Fred Warner patrolling the middle of the field, Joey Bosa and Cameron Jordan coming off the edges, a pretty decent secondary with Derwin James at the head and Harrison Smith tailing it in the back. A really strong defense with a really strong defensive coach and a great run game and offense to go with it.
All right, let's run through the best team here. We got, with Mahomes at quarterback, I realized, all right, I locked in Mahomes. If I get him protection, I can not have to worry too much about receiver, can kind of make that a lower priority because he's going to make it work, especially when I give him mismatches like having Kittle and having Saquon out of the backfield. Those are going to give him options that are going to be open. And even still, like, it's not like my receivers are bad with Mike Evans, Devontae Adams, and Odell Beckham, who had an off year last year but will probably bounce back. And then I think the real strength of my team here is my offensive line. I think with Mahomes behind that, and in my opinion, easily the best offensive line in this draft. I got my 2 favorite guards and probably the 2 tackles I would choose, really. Center, I would have probably taken 1 or 2 guys over Ryan Kelly, but other than that, I got exactly what I wanted there. And Frank Reich, as my head coach, I think he's a guy that's on the rise, that's shown. He hasn't been able to win too many playoff games just yet, but that's because his quarterback situation is a little iffy. And I think he's going to prove that with an elite roster, he's going to make everything work out well. And if we scroll down to my defense a little bit, I think the strength of my defense is really my secondary. I think I have the best safety tandem and arguably the best corner trio as well. And then at the edge position, these are two guys that aren't necessarily the first two names you think of when you think of the elite edge rushers, but they're really that just a step below Khalil Mack here. And Chandler Jones is more of a veteran presence, and Watt is the guy that's going to grow and get even better. Mosley's probably the second best inside linebacker in football, and Smith will complement him. And Chris Jones, Akeem Hicks is a pretty good duo on the inside.
All right, so now we're going to scroll down to obviously the best team in this draft.
With the first overall pick.
This is my first overall
Deshaun Watson.
So I obviously did not plan this out well enough, but we got Deshaun Watson here. Obviously a top-tier quarterback. He's definitely, in my opinion, definitely top 3 in the league. So I don't think that I'm that far behind you guys there. You never know what he's going to do. He's had horrible rosters his entire career. Now here's my mismatch machine right here, Christian McCaffrey, who has just about 2,000 years every year of his career. He's a beast. He'll definitely solidify the run game and the passing game to go along with Julio, Chris Godwin, and Jarvis Landry. Having Julio on the outside, who's been a proven guy for years, and Godwin, a guy who just kind of broke out last year, I think that'll be good. Having Landry inside with probably the best hands in the league, close to Odell. And he's honestly a difference maker, I think, because I feel like he underratedly is a top 10 wide receiver in the league every year when it comes down to like yards and touchdowns and production. He's just a safety blanket for my quarterback, so I like him there. Zach Ertz is, yes, I think he's also a tier below the top 2 guys, but he's still right there. I think his receiving ability has been unreal in Philadelphia on a team that doesn't have many great wide receivers. So I think he's definitely also good at blocking. He'll go along here with Taylor Lewan and Anthony Costanzo, who in my opinion are two of the best offensive tackles in the league. Lewan is honestly very underrated. He's in my opinion probably like one of the top 3 guys in the league. Offensive guard, I might have reached a little bit here on Brandon Brooks, but he's also one of the top guys in the league, David DeCastro as well. Then we move into the center. We got Jason Kelce, who has been the best center in the league for years, and between him and Marquise Pouncey. But, yeah, he's right there. Head coach, we got Andy Reid here, offensive mind, just coming off a Super Bowl appearance and victory. And then we move into the defensive tackles. Got our young guys in here with DeForest Buckner and Grady Jarrett. They're very young, so they're underrated right now. But DeForest Buckner is right there, or not right there. Aaron Donald is obviously on a different level, but DeForest Buckner, in my opinion, is probably the second best defensive tackle in the league. Inside linebacker, we're still going young here. We got Darius Leonard and Deion Jones. Deion Jones, hardest hitter in the league, and Darius Leonard was defensive player of the year's rookie year, or defensive rookie of the year, and he's just been a beast his first 2 years. Moving out to edge, staying young again here. I think that's a big trend of my defense, having Nick Bosa there, who last year won defensive player of the year, and Khalil Mack, the second best edge rusher in the league, or actually the best edge rusher in the league. Moving down to corner, still pretty young here. Tre'Davious White, Xavier Howard, and Marcus Peters. No real slot corner here, but they're all playing at elite levels early in their careers. And finally, ending up at safety, we got Eddie Jackson, who, in my opinion, is in that top 3 conversation, and Tyron Smith, who has been an absolute difference maker everywhere he goes.
That was a fun draft, though, for sure.
Yeah, I had a good time.
Yeah, I'm sorry you guys lost, but it's okay.
That's so funny that you think that.
That's pretty funny because obviously Matt won.
The fact that Pete's saying that I won kind of proves it.
But I have Fletcher Cox and Aaron Donald.
Yeah, but Cox isn't number 2 anymore. That's where you went wrong.
Who's number 2 then?
I mean, it depends on opinion. I guess Pete thinks it's Buckner. I would say it's Chris Jones.
I think it's Cox. Like,
I would probably have Cox 4 out of them.
I admit, love your team's biggest advantage is having Aaron Donald in the middle because that's a big upgrade over anyone else there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
definitely.
My offensive line would clamp him up though.
I
There's no
really
doubt about it.
I definitely did not plan this out very well.
my tight end, my wide receivers. Who is gonna stop my wide receivers?
My
Uh,
secondary.
yeah, I believe Tre'Davious White, Xavier Howard, and Marcus Peters will.
Well, no one can guard Mike. No one can guard Tyreek.
He's got a point. Can't guard Mike.
And DeAndre Hopkins is a big boy. Maybe 3 guys can guard him.
Well, yeah. Well, I'd still go with Matt's team. He built up that offensive line from the start, which is the way that if we redid this is the route
It's
that
just-
I would go.
Yeah, Lev, you have to factor in that without, like, let's say our teams are playing each other. Your offensive line has to slow down our elite defensive fronts. Otherwise, it doesn't matter how good your receivers are. They're not going to have time to get open.
Yeah, but I already kind of got off late with offensive line, and you
That's
guys.
fair, and I'm not saying your team's bad. I'm just saying it's worse than mine.
So I decided to just capitalize on what positions I could get the best players available at what times. I thought wide receiver, if I could pick all of them before anyone, I'd lock up that position by far. Tight end, I had to get the last elite guy. Quarterback, I got lucky and walked into one of the best in the league.
One thing I'm curious about now, who do you think's better, Lev, George Kittle or Travis Kelce?
That's tough. I mean, they play relatively different styles. Obviously, they're both really big, bruising runners, and they're really smart players. But when you watch the tape, it's just George Kittle has breakaway speed that tight ends don't really have. And Travis Kelce has the big playability, but George Kittle has that too. So it's hard really to deny Kittle that number 1 spot now. But
I'm
Travis,
proud of you because you once laughed at me for having that opinion.
it's just that was before I feel like it was a full emergence of George Kittle.
No, that was before you noticed it.
Maybe.
I think we just need to have one more question for Michael.
Sure.
What is more important, the offensive line or your wide receivers?
Well, it depends on how you look at it. See, with these wide receivers in particular, no one's going to be able to stop this tandem. So I would say if you can get wide receivers as talented as that, it would be more important than having the
You just
offense.
have to think of what it is time-wise, right? Receivers can only run so fast, and the amount of adding like 0.1 second to a block by having better offensive line is a bigger difference than being a slightly faster receiver or get open slightly faster.
Tyreek Hill with Mike Thomas and DeAndre Hopkins blocking.
I just don't see Hill having a chance to get deep against Pete or my defensive front.
Mm-hmm. I just don't think that any wide receiver is that big of a difference maker that will win you a Super Bowl. While if you have a great offensive line, that will bring you to a Super Bowl.
I agree with that, but here's another thing. Once I found out Russell Wilson was my quarterback, offensive line to me became less important. Russell Wilson's going to be able to extend plays and avoid defenders and make the plays himself so that the offensive line can.
That's what Russell Wilson does against NFL defenses, right? Not against all-star defenses where he's going to get flooded from the edge and interior at the same time.
I also agree with that, but this offensive line, even though it might not be the number 1 all-star offensive line, it's a above-average lineman that'll be able to handle it enough that Russell Wilson can make those plays.
Except for Ali Marpet.
Yeah.
Sleep on Ali Marpet all you want.
If you took Scherf instead of Marpet, you'd have a point there.
I like Ali Marpet.
I mean, looking at my team, I don't hate it. It's not that – I like my defense.
Well, obviously all the teams are great, right?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
We're picking at straws here. They're all great teams.
Your offensive skill positions are just so much worse than the rest of your team.
I have McCaffrey, and Watson's not much
You have
worse.
McCaffrey and Julio. like
And Julio, but I have Tyreek Hill, Mike Thomas, Julio, not Julio Jones, Tyreek Hill, Mike Thomas, sorry. Tyreek Hill, Mike Thomas, DeAndre Hopkins. Oh my God. Travis Kelce, Russell Wilson, Derrick Henry's better. Like, I'm sorry.
All right, but other than Donald and Wagner, I think, and Derwin James, my entire defense, I think, is better than yours.
Joey Bosa, Cameron Jordan.
I have
Belichick, Bill Belichick.
I have Khalil Mack and Nick Bosa. So
Yeah, your edges are better than mine by a little bit.
Yeah. I think my entire defense is better than yours. Then besides those 3 players,
Fred Warner.
no.
I'd rather have Fred Warner. My secondary is kind of weak, but they're all pretty young. And Desmond King's the best slot corner in the NFL.
You'd rather have Fred Warner than
Not than Darius Leonard. I'd rather have Fred Warner than Deion Jones for sure.
I disagree. Yeah. So I think we can all agree that Matt has the best team.
we should all agree that, but I understand that Lev is too stubborn to admit it, so that's fair.
All right. So that was a fun draft. I think that was definitely something that we kind of just came up with, but I think it turned out really well.
Yeah, it sucks. There's no way to like show who could have won this or like what could have been better because there's no real way to show like anything.
Except for the fact that it was just so obvious.
All right. Well, this has been a great episode. We'll have to see you guys for next week.
Yep.
Yeah, see you next time.
Yeah, this wraps up our Thursday episode. So yeah. Is that it, guys?
That's all I got.
Rumored that Logan Ryan.
Logan Ryan to the Jets.
The problem is we broke that last episode at the end.
But it still hasn't happened yet.
So
We'll see.
we could be wrong.
Larry Warford to the Jets.
Nope, Dolphins. Fins up. All right.
Wait, hold on, real quick. I actually saw a rumor that the only team, another team that put in an offer for Logan Ryan was in fact the Miami Dolphins.
Ooh, that makes no sense.
It makes absolutely no sense,
Nope.
but I heard it.
The only reason that it makes sense is because Flores, but
You just want to get every single corner in football.
yeah, we just don't. I mean, maybe pushes Igbenage, like maybe let him wait.
It's just interesting that you lose a first round pick on that guy to ride the bench.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, they did have 3 first-round picks.
That's
You're
true.
still not drafting bench players in the first round.
That's true.
I don't know. All right.
Hey
See you
man,
next time.
the Chiefs did. Patrick Mahomes,
I don't think that counts.
he did ride the bench.
Packers did.
You're right.
All right, so we'll see you guys next week.